Hello Ratbags, it's Jade Plays Games. Today we're going to be discussing Fix Arc, some of the problems YouTubers have had with the devs wiping them and all sorts. You may have seen over the weekend stuff to do with GT Jacked being dev wiped for building in a certain zone, which has irked a lot of the PvP community. A lot of people are unhappy with the wildcard devs. We're going to be going through that. I'm going to be going through everything, the permutations and how much wildcard are doing to stop instances where people are maybe building in the wrong spot. It is part of a larger debate though about fixing the game. PUBG a month ago announced their brand new program to fix their game. In it they detailed and outlined all the areas that they're really going to respond to in the next few months, trying to make sure that their game was running as optimised and as perfectly as they could get it. A year and a bit after release, many think that Wildcard and Arc need to do something similar, as there are just still so many bugs, problems and issues affecting the core game. And with still so many players playing the game, it does affect the gameplay and it does need fixing. We're also going to be talking about paid promotions on Ark Survival Evolved. The Conquest Servers started last week, and over the weekend I was pretty vocal on social media. I am not happy with what's been going on. Wildcard are paying streamers to play on PvP servers. This is a massive issue for me. I really don't think you should be paying people to play competitively, which PvP is. So I'm going to be discussing that. I'm going to be talking that all through as well. So come with me, it's Jade Plays Games. Let's discuss fixing Arc. Okay, so GT Jacked basically announced he got dev wiped. If you don't know who he is, he's a massive PvP player and pretty legit. Not really scummy, plays the game, is a pretty honest guy. I remember watching him way back when he was doing Primitive Plus series. Now, he recently built somewhere on the Aberration surface, and as you can see, it's showing in his single player exactly where he built or what he did build. Apparently this is a massive no-no. Wildcard devs jumped on the server and destroyed his base. But not only his base, I do believe they destroyed his tribe. Now, I could be slightly wrong on that, please correct me if I am, because I've seen a few conflicting reports. And although in his video he says the tribe got wiped, I've also seen some comments say it was only the base on top of the surface. Either way, it kinda sucks. A lot of people are assuming that it shouldn't have happened, that if you're allowed to build up there because the game mechanics say you can, that's not cheating. The big argument is that it's not meshing. It's not going out of your way to dig underneath the map or above the map's barrier. It's literally a way that you can build somewhere because the wildcard devs haven't necessarily fixed it correctly. It's in plain sight. If you go up onto the surface and jump around a little bit and have a look, you would be able to see the base and you can attack the base. So the base doesn't have any other unfair advantage other than, of course, it's in a very hospitable place to go. Now, as you can see, it says here from the wildcard dev that, as a reminder, building in places that weren't intended to be built is in still violation of the code of conduct. And that raises the point, where does it say that the aberration surface is not an intended built-in place? When you go up to the aberration surface, you can go ahead and try building places and it won't let you. It will simply pop up red and say you can't build here. Also, the fact that it's got giant massive fire flames running across the land makes you kind of get the idea you're maybe not going to have the best experience building your base. However, the game mechanic says that when you place something it goes green, that means you can build, and if it places it and it's red, you can't build. As long as it's not under meshing, doesn't that mean you can actually build there? What really constitutes unintended? From watching the video, it looks more like it's just a very hard to reach place rather than an unintended game zone. And if it's that unintended, why haven't they got markers showing where not to build and where to build? Now, originally when I heard about this news on Discord over the weekend, I was away and there was a big debate in my Discord. People were defending it, other people were against it, saying that cheaters should just be cheated and they should just get wiped because it is actually breaking the terms and conditions. And I'm not going to lie, when I first heard about it, I said, well, he probably deserves it. If he's building somewhere where he's not meant to, he's lucky to get away with maybe possibly his base being destroyed and nothing else. But of course, I did go and do a bit more research, and obviously I watched his video, and it's definitely a case of being very grey. You can't really ascertain that that area is an intended or unintended building zone. It's not above the map, it's part of the map. He hasn't gone through any unintended areas, he's not under mesh to get to that point, and he's not used any unfair advantages. He simply took advantage of a spot that the wildcard devs didn't make red. Now, I am not going to lie, still after reading it, I kind of still felt the player still has a little bit of an idea that maybe he shouldn't be building there. And that someone that's put thousands of hours into the game, someone that's a content creator as well, maybe should be paying more attention to what's going on, and maybe shouldn't be able to just try out an excuse he didn't know not to build there. It's not like Aberration only came out last week. The DLC's been out over 9 months, nearly 10 months now. In fact, no, even more, 11. So in them 11 months, I'm sure the wildcard devs have taken a good look at the map and decided that that area is considered unintended. But I also think players should know that as well, particularly ones that have spent thousands of hours. So I'm 90% blaming the wildcard devs for not having clear and correct placement of where you can build and where you can't. But I am also of the opinion that a good 10% of that responsibility comes from players. When you play competitively and you risk getting dev wiped by certain actions, yours or other tribe members, you have to be really careful. But regardless, wildcard do need to do something. They need to fix the game and they need to make sure that people don't go through this same mistake. Way back when, in June 2016, I made this video detailing the changes that were coming to the Redwood. The Redwood was going to be implemented on the islands, there was going to be more zones opened up on the ice and biomes, and it was all going to be changing the map. Now, wildcard put up these barriers saying safe zone, so anywhere out of this area you were fine. But of course, if you was in the zone, it turned red and you knew you have to get out of that area because it was going to undergo some significant changes. Why can't wildcard do the same with all their maps? If there really is some places that they don't want players to build, then they maybe do need to make it very clear about where and where you can't. Now, on top of that, there is also some more significant stuff to do with actual meshing. Now, meshing obviously is a real massive problem in the game. This to me is direct cheating, and that anyone caught meshing should really be kicked from the game. But when it's so easy to do, and you could actually probably do it by accident, it really does become a problem for wildcard to fix, rather than players to take responsibility for. Hod Gaming explains it pretty well. I'll leave the link for his video as well. But generally he's going to show you how to mesh using just some pickaxes. Meshing has been in the game for a long time, but Ark isn't the only game that suffers from this. Years ago, Gears of War had similar problems where you could mesh off the map and shoot at players from certain points. This was in competitive multiplayer mode, and so obviously it was a massive problem. Games are always going to suffer from this type of stuff, but most games companies clamp down on it or find ways to stop it happening. And when it affects so many people on online servers, it becomes more of a priority. Now, wildcard are continuously talking about fixing meshes in their updates. But many people, Hod obviously included, think they're not doing enough and that more needs to be done with the game mechanics rather than simply going around the map and patching spots. Now, it needs to be fixed, and I think that players take advantage of this by attacking other players from beneath the mesh. They still need to be kicked though. It is pretty much clearly labelled on their code of conduct, and it's definitely much more outlined what meshing is, but certainly it's a circle. If they don't have the exploit mechanics in the game, then people can't take advantage. If it was maybe just 1 or 2 little instances where this was happening, then it wouldn't be such a problem. You're always going to have these type of bugs or problems in games. But like I said, because it's so widespread, most people are getting put off playing on official servers, and that is creating more of an issue. So we've got 2 different videos from 2 different YouTubers highlighting 2 big problems that are kind of related. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Is it all just on wildcard with their building mechanics? Do they need to make the terms and conditions and the code of conduct a lot more clearer? Should they implement something in the game better? Or is it down to the players, and players should really take responsibility for not making sure they're not abusing game mechanics? Now I'm going to finish off with the next part, which has kind of pissed me off. I got this email just before the Conquest Servers launched last week. Clearly a blanket email sent out to lots of people. I know tubers and streamers all different sizes received the same email. Obviously not researching me, knowing that I don't ever play PvP. But here you can see it's here. The paid opportunity is easy. Just stream yourself playing Ark on the new Conquest Servers for 2 hours per day to earn cash by signing up through Noise. It's that simple. You can earn up to $50 a day for 2 hours of Ark Survival Evolved on Conquest Servers. Now, I'm not going to lie, that seems pretty attractive. Right now my channel's not doing as good as it always does, and it's my full-time job. So the thought of maybe getting some extra money just by playing a game that I'm so well used to and I talk about pretty much every day still seems like a no-brainer. But I'm not some sort of fucking idiot. I think it's absolutely diabolical that Wildcard are trying to pay streamers on PvP. There's nothing wrong with promotion, YouTubers do it all the time, and I've got no problem if anyone wants to offer me some promotional content. But it has to be the right type of content and it has to be the right type of game. Promotional content just showing off a brand new game, brand new PvE experience, something new, an update coming to the game, all that stuff I can consider being okay. But you can't go around paying people to play on competitive game modes. It's a bit like paying Call of Duty streamers to go on Call of Duty. Why would you need to? There should be bunches of streamers and YouTubers out there desperate to play on the Conquest servers without getting paid. Now, this is against terms and conditions on YouTube to do this type of work without at least informing people. You have to label it on your YouTube channel in descriptions down below whether or not you have been promoted or sponsored. Not only is it unethical to pay people to actually go wiping other tribes and other players off your game, it's also just a bit shit it's got to that stage that Wildcard need to pay people to play their game because it's just so thought of negatively, or they're desperately trying to drum up more players to get Steam charts up there so that they can say something about how many players they've got, maybe for investors, who knows. Anyway, the Conquest servers are up now. They've been up all weekend, and I'll challenge you guys to ask your streamers and tubers that are playing on these servers, ask them if they have been contacted by Noise and ask them if they're being paid. I'm not 100% sure how it works on Twitch, but I've got a feeling Twitch is a lot more relaxed than YouTube in terms of what you have to admit to being sponsored by. I watch Dr. Disrespect quite a lot, and the amount of promotional and advertisements he's got in his streams is crazy. Everything from Gillette to sports powders, you name it. And not often do I see anything in his actual description saying how, what or why. There's nothing wrong in getting a bit of promotion out there for your new game. There's nothing wrong in trying to drum up support for a game that maybe you feel needs that extra support because players aren't playing it as much. If this was PvE server, if this was just promoting the game in general, I just don't have a problem with that. As I said, as long as they mention it in their descriptions or at the very start of their video, I think that's okay. But what Wildcard are effectively doing is paying people to wipe other players. And this becomes more of an issue because it's streamers and YouTubers doing it, because they'll have access to more players. They're going to have tryhard fans that want to impress them, that will always be available to help them out and do stuff on their tribes on these servers. So that also gives them more of a disadvantage compared to just your regular group of friends that are going to try them out. YouTubers do suffer from some certain problems like stream sniping and of course insiding. If you're JX23, you're probably sick of the word inside, as I do believe he's been insided quite a few times. But I'm going to put that down to just poor judgment on his part. Now, some people might argue you can earn money on YouTube, but you don't necessarily work for game devs, you kind of work for YouTube in that respect. Money I earn through my advertisements on this video and any other videos will be about me putting content out on the platform, not me just playing the game. And this game mode where I'm explicitly taking out other players and I'm gaining more advantage because I'm more well known and it's easier for me to get big tribes that are needed on Conquest servers, that to me is just a massive issue. Now, there are some more issues to do with the Conquest servers, again, that are very questionable. Wildcard have announced they've got enforcement teams that will be going around on this cluster much more than maybe some others. The idea is that this cluster patrol will get to know players on each server. The leader of each large tribe on Conquest will be able to submit a request to join a Discord server with access to the enforcement team. We hope this style of active enforcement and cooperation from the Conquest players will ensure that the servers are fun, fair and competitive. The enforcement team consists of both English and Chinese support and has got more languages coming in the future. It goes on to say that basically if you don't follow the code of conduct, then the enforcement team can wipe your tribe, your dinos or your structures, and that players should be aware that all reports submitted to enforcement are taken seriously. So this is the next big problem. Why the fuck are big tribes getting access to the enforcement team? Why are they getting a direct line to talk to people that control the servers, enforce what goes on these servers in some sort of shitty Discord? That is a massive problem. If you're a big tribe leader, you want to stay the big tribe, don't you? And we've seen it before. Ark has got one of the most toxic PvP player bases going. There's going to be so many instances and reports of large tribes making shit up just to stay the large tribe. Now, not everyone's going to do this. I'm not saying everyone is some sort of toxic player. I'm sure there's going to be lots of big conquest tribes out there doing things legit and not necessarily having to resort to spreading bullshit or making up lies about other players or other tribes. But you can bet this kind of stuff is going to go on. And the fact that only the large tribe members are going to have access to the enforcement team, it really does feel like devs are going to be in their pocket. Now, this is something Wildcard have been accused of in the past. Namely, snail employees going around on Asian servers and actually actively helping promote certain tribes. It's a long running joke about the Chinese invading Ark Survival Evolved, but it's true because the servers don't have any region locks. And so the idea of devs being in pockets isn't that far-fetched. They've always strenuously denied any of these, but there has been instances and videos reporting that moderators have been part of other tribes. I've always believed this was wrong anyway in Wildcard. You shouldn't have people that patrol the game actually play the game. I know that doesn't make much sense, but I believe they shouldn't be playing it on official servers. Moderators and enforcement teams are different on these games. It's not like running a forum where you've got people just taking away bad posts. If you're going to have people policing your network of servers, they shouldn't ever be able to actually play themselves on the official servers. They should only just be patrolling and going around. That way it stops any accusations of favouritism or them getting paid by players to wipe other tribes. It's a real shitty situation with Wildcard at the moment. Negative feedback from PvP players, underhand dealings with how they promote their game, and favouritism to certain people just because they happen to be the biggest tribe. All in all, it's not looking pretty good for Wildcard. The latest round of Conquest Servers hasn't actually had much of an impact like it did with the 6-man servers. This was the peak when 6-man servers got announced and implemented into the game. You can see a huge spike from what it was. An extra 30,000 players were jumping on the game because of 6-man servers. And since then it's declined. And although there is a bit of a spike at the moment because of maybe the Conquest servers, it certainly isn't as big as maybe they'd hoped. I'm guessing that's why they're offering to pay streamers and tubers money. For whatever reason, Wildcard want to drum up more players on Steam. Like I said, maybe it's to do with investors, maybe they've got an end of year recall, maybe there's certain targets they've got to hit with their parent company Snail Games. By staying in Steam's top 20 games most played, maybe they get extra benefits and bonuses. Either way, it's all just a bit dodgy and it's all just a bit of a shit moment. Let me know what you think about all that. Is it right that Wildcard are paying streamers? Is it right that they're not fixing the game? Or do you still think it's down to the players to take a bit more responsibility? I am Joe Plays Games. I'll be back with more proper news about Ark when we actually get something. Apart from this picture of this tree and Titan, there is nothing in the community crunch this week. Hopefully we'll get some more decent information next week. I'm Joe Plays Games. Don't forget to like and I'll see you ratbags later.